Hello, this is Astrologer Dawn. Thought I'd get it all right today. So phones are off and doors closed and curtains closed and everything the way it's supposed to be, except I didn't put the title. One of these days, I am going to remember to do everything. So I am writing in the comment page myself. Today's topic is endings. Okay, so if you want to know more, check out astrologerdawn.com and find out about the Tarot 101 webinar series. It's a 5-week series that starts on November the 14th. I have space still. It's a really good deal, actually. So please go check out astrologerdawn.com. Also, you can find out about my consultations, my books, and, you know, other things, coaching and all those kind of good stuff. So please check that out. Tomorrow, there'll be another one. I'm doing this every day, 1 o'clock Arizona time, which I think is mountain time, and different topics, just coming up with different topics each day. So today, I'm going to be talking about endings. And in the course, we'll be doing much more in-depth about all of this stuff. You know, we definitely go much more in-depth. So, endings. So if you might remember yesterday, or if you saw yesterday's, we talked about beginnings. So today it's about endings. But there's some different cards for endings. I mean, let me show you first. So this is the journey. This camera. Beginnings. Change is number 5. 10 is endings. So that's the journey that the tarot goes on. That is the course, when depending upon which cards you get where will determine. So the 1 is when you're going up the hill and you're really coming up against things and deciding, oh wow, it looks like something needs to change by the time you get to the top. And then as you come back down, you've got all the experience and you usually end something. It's an end of something, whether it's an end of, oh, I don't need to deal with that anymore, or whether it's an end of, I need to be done with that. It's some kind of ending. Let's just put it that way. Okay, so we're looking at, hello, Dawn. Hey, it's 2 Dawns today. So we're looking at the endings card. So these are going to be the 10s, and I'm using my Toth deck again. So these 4 are specifically the endings ones, and I'm going to look at them separately, of course. Because they actually depends on whether you read reversed or whether you read upright as to what it would be. So I'm going to start with the 10 of Swords. So a lot of times when you get the 10 of Swords, the ending is all that thought stuff that's going on, all of those things going around and around and around in your head, and all those conversations. It can be arguing that's coming to an end. It can be, well, it's usually more about that. It's about arguing that's coming to an end. It certainly, of course, can be about relationships coming to an end as well. But it's more about a process coming to an end. It's Swords, so it's the arguings come to an end. It's the change has happened. You're either not going to argue anymore, or you just don't want to argue with the person, or there's nothing else to argue about, because a lot of times this has to do with the verbal stuff as well. So when you get this, you want to take a look at you and see, am I fighting something? Is there something that needs to come to an end? Is there some kind of controversy going on in my life? Is there something that I really need to put aside? Usually when this card shows up, it's telling you yes. Then we've got the 10 of Wands. Wow, this to me is so much more about the itty bitty shitty committee, because this is usually you are your own worst enemy. So to me, it's all about the itty bitty shitty committee really sort of giving you instructions to not listen to your intuition. You know, so it's like the prison of your own making, but it's usually bigger than that. Prison of your own making is normally quite easy to see, but this one is sometimes a little bit more difficult to see, where you're making things worse, or you're not recognizing that something needs to end and you're sort of keeping it going. So this could be, let's say you've had a fallout with a friend, you've had an argument with a friend, and but this friendship's probably not going to be able to be revived from this. And you keep arguing with this person backwards and forwards. They keep sending you emails or texts or phone calls. Well, not phone calls. This is much more likely to be texts and emails. And you keep responding. You know, you're sort of in a prison of your own making, and this needs to end. Like, it's not going anywhere. It's not giving you what you want. So when you see this card, what is it you need to let go of? Are you arguing with somebody? Have you got an idea that you need to let go of? A belief system you need to let go of that's keeping you stuck? So that's another thing with that one. Then we also have, here's the ones that are different. So those two are quite negative in some ways. These two are quite negative. You know, you're doing this, prison of your own making. You're arguing a lot in this. You're holding on to something. So these two, and they're well within your power to let go of them. But these two are somewhat negative when they show up. I say somewhat negative because you might go, oh gosh, more swords. So yes, it's negative. However, it's giving you information, so it's not ultimately negative. Then we've got the two positive ones. Now, again, you might go, oh, wow, they look lovely. They can only be, how could they be negative? Well, they're not necessarily negative. This is an ending as well. So this could be, if it was in this position, if you were reading reverse, the chances are it's the end of a happy, it wouldn't be a happy marriage if it was the end of it, would it? So it'd be the end of a marriage. But this is usually the ending culminates in a marriage, culminates in a strong relationship. Oh, let me hold them up here. That's a good idea. I do not like this, how this works. Okay. So this could be culminating in a happy relationship. It could be working through things, and the ending is that it ends with a happy relationship. You know, it's called the, satiety card. So you feel satiated. So you feel things have been resolved, and it's usually about feeling really good at the end of the process. Of course, you could be going through a divorce and get this, but the divorce is amicable, so this could show up. And then the other 10, and we've actually got some more for endings than we have for beginnings. So this one, this is the 10 of discs or 10 of pentacles, which is the wealth card. So again, it is a more positive. Dawn, I'm not sure. You said that is the 10 of what? This is the 10 of cups. This is the 10 of discs or pentacles. So this is an earthly thing. If I didn't answer you, Dawn, just ask it again. And I'll hold up all the cards again in a minute. So 10 of, you'd think, oh my God, all my money's going to be gone. No, that's not quite what it is. It can be that money situations are coming to an end and they're culminating in money. If you sell a house sometimes and you're making profit from it, sometimes this will show up. If you get a windfall, once this came up in one of my clients' readings along with the death card, I didn't know that her mother was really sick and she got an inheritance. Now, obviously she didn't want to get it that way, but this was one of the cards that showed up. And also astrologically, she was going through, I think it was Jupiter that was going through her 8th house. So in terms of money, there was going to be money coming to her in an inheritance. So it's sort of pretty clear to me. So this is usually where the ending of a money situation is positive. There's a positive outcome to this ending. It can also mean if you've been worrying about money, stop. Worrying gets you nothing but ulcers, which gets you a stay in the hospital, which costs you $14,000 because your insurance doesn't cover it. So worry will cost you money. This is let go of a situation because it's going to resolve itself. Now, there are 3 other cards that I see as ending cards. One would be the death card, of course, which I've talked about. You know, that death card is very much about things coming to an end. Again, it doesn't have to be death of a person, death of a way of being. So it's an ending of something that's going to take you somewhere else. Depending upon what you get after it is obviously going to determine where it takes you. The 4 of Wands in this particular deck is the completion card, when a cycle has come to an end, when you're ready to move on. Look at that. Why is that changing colors? That's interesting. Look at that. Oh, sorry, I get easily distracted, obviously. So completion card. This is the end of a cycle. And again, it doesn't have to be positive or negative. It's just the end of a cycle. You know, this has got the sign Aries on the bottom of it. So no, it's completion of a cycle and getting ready to start again on a new cycle. So this is another ending card. Not as dramatic as the death card. And then this is interesting because you might not realize that the universe card is the end, is an ending card. And the reason for that is the Fool has been on a journey through all of the major arcana cards, and this is the last card. The universe card is, you know, the Fool has gone on this journey. We're going to make her a she. She's had relationships. She's got the tools and the skills that she needs. She's worked on her own. She's worked in partnership with people. She's overcome adversity. She has followed her passion. She has made income. She has lost people, lost things, shifted her mindset, had a growth, soul purpose growth, had an emotional growth. She became more evolved. Then it moves up to a higher level, gave her time to really engage in teaching others, and then sometimes volunteering, and then it all culminates together in this card. So this is an ending card, but you can apply the Fool's journey to an experience that you have. So let's just say you get married and you marry the wrong person, but you don't realize it. Well, you do. Your intuition told you not to walk down the aisle, but the itty bitty shitty committee jumped in and said you better do that because it's paid for and your grandma's making sausage rolls. So this is the journey. So within the journey, so let's say you get married, you realize you're 2 years into it, you realize it's not working, but you've learned so much about yourself and what you want and what you don't want. And so if you get this card when you're getting a divorce, it just means it's the end of that particular experience. Doesn't mean you won't experience marriage or an intimate relationship again. It's just what have you experienced? What have you learned through taking that journey in marriage? With children, you know, they leave home, you might get this card. So again, it's not necessarily, and none of these are really negative. I mean, they look it, if you think about, you know, certainly these three cards. I mean, you know, you're looking at the death card, the oppression card, and the ruin card. So it's, you know, and I think to me, they show up more when there's also resistance. If you're resisting something, you might get the Ten of Swords. You know, what are you holding on to? What is it that you believe is really going to happen in a situation with a person, place, thing, or situation? The same thing with the oppression card. What are you holding on to? It's in a slightly different way, though. You're more vocal when it's the Ten of Swords. You're more internal when it's the Ten of Wands. And then the Death card, you know, another ending. Of course, these ones look quite negative. And we tend to think that, you know, it's like I say to people, not as soon as somebody's died, and the reality is for all of us, the only people who are hurt by somebody dying is the people who are left behind, not the people who die. You know, for those of you who believe in an afterlife, for those of you, you know, who believe that we go somewhere else and that we can still connect with those people on the earth, they're free. They don't have any more diseases. They're happy. They're frolicking around. They've got all their friends. So the Death card isn't even a bad thing. You know, because for the person who's dying, there is relief and it is their time. Of course, we don't see that when it's happening to us. You know, we don't see that at all. So anybody have any questions? And it can be about anything. It doesn't have to be about endings. It can be about anything that you want. I like talking about endings because endings gives us an opportunity to say, what's next? What do I need to do next? What's coming into my life next? And usually, intuitively, we will know what that is when we let go of something. The universe never leaves a void. So when you do let go of a person, place, thing, situation, if you don't fill that person, place, thing, situation with something else, then what happens you know, sorry, I got sidetracked. I'm looking at what somebody wrote. You know, we really have to say what happens at the end. It's time to move on. So Jennifer, could you please address ending as transformation? Yeah, and transformation is always positive. It's how we see things, you know. when something happens for us, and in different times of our life, in different ways with different people, when the ending comes, most of the time we've already begun sort of a transformation. I mean, especially based on the people that I talk to, who are going through a divorce. Many of my clients over the years, you know, I've been doing this for 20 years, so I've talked to thousands of people, whether it's on the radio or in private. And those people that were going through divorce started to really recognize that that was about transformation, that not only had they transformed over the period of the relationship, they had changed. Maybe the other person hadn't changed either. But that transformation within themselves and within the situation needs to occur. It's like, if you're in a relationship in which you're not happy and it's not working, you have to make a decision at some point. You can complain about it for a long time. Eventually you'll run out of people to complain about, or you can take a look at what it is that you're saying and asking yourself, what is stopping you getting to that end and making a transformation into something new? It's always going to be fear of the unknown. But, you know, I have this great saying up on my wall by Bilal Alwan that says, everything you have ever wanted is sitting on the other side of fear. And that's usually the only thing that holds us back, is the fear. So is transformation always positive? We don't necessarily see it as that. And yet when we look back, we can see that the transformation was positive. You know, we don't know what it would have looked like unless you're watching that movie with Gwyneth Paltrow, you know, where she gets in an elevator and she splits into two different lives. But the reality is that's not the way we live. That's the way a movie goes. But in reality, that's not what works. And when we look back, you know, when we look back, that whole ending piece, whatever it is that's going on, is usually the most powerful time. It's when we can have the biggest aha moments, the light bulbs go on, the intuition really sinks into your body of like, oh, this is going to need to end. And it really sinks in. And it can be something somebody says, not necessarily the person that there needs to be an ending with or a situation. It could be somebody completely different who knows nothing about what's going on. You know, how can, Jennifer also asked, is the how of ending the most important part of growth? Yeah. And can the message be made clearer by looking at the process of it? Yeah, absolutely. And what you're looking at, you can do a card reading on it and look at it, your relationship, if it's a relationship that's ending, in terms of this. What did it look like? What did it look like at, back to front. What did it look like at the beginning? What were the changes that took place, that you needed to take place, that actually took place within the relationship? And how does it need to end? Will it end? Do you want it to end? What needs to happen? If there wasn't the change that needed to happen, then it's going to come to an end where you may not see it as a positive when you're going through it. I mean, I've got several clients that will be like, especially in the Cayman Islands, and they're not from the Cayman Islands. And it's like, I can't leave with my kids. I want to go back to Australia or Canada, or usually they can go to England, but not Australia or Canada. And I can't do that because I've got to have his permission. And, you know, so that doesn't end, and it doesn't look like it's positive. Yet several of my clients have ended up sort of feeling imprisoned on the Cayman Islands because they're not allowed to leave with their children, children that were born there, is that they realize that something else bigger goes on for them during that period of time when they feel like they're in prison. They transform the way that they look at it. They stop looking at it like it's a prison. They look back on all of the events that led up to where they're at right now. They start to embrace that, that this is where they're at. It's the ending of the relationship. It's not the ending of being on the island, though, unfortunately. So, hey, Shanley. So anyway, let me answer Dawn's question. Hope that answered yours, Jennifer. I'm faced with an ending of a sense, if I choose. For health reasons, wouldn't that create a conflict in the cards drawn? Facing with an ending, if I choose for health reasons, wouldn't that create a conflict? Well, if you ask the question like that, yeah, because I'm not even sure about, you know, if you're faced with an ending, like, is it a choice? Is the ending a choice? So are you being laid off? Or are you being pensioned off? Or are you, you know, what is it that's making the ending give you a choice? Now, if the choice is I'm going to be really sick if I stay here. So those are the health readings. Wouldn't that create a conflict in the cards? It depends. It depends on conflict with what. That's what I'd have to say, Dawn. What do you mean that it would, you know? I mean, if I pull 3 cards for you and I'm using a different deck, I'd say you're trying to control a situation. You're trying to have the best of both worlds. That's the devil. Devil card can sometimes mean addictions as well. But Dawn, you might be trying to control a situation to get everything that you want. You might be juggling things, because the devil card can sometimes indicate that you're trying to juggle things to get it to be the way that you want it. This is upside down this time. This is the celebration card. But when it's upside down, there's no celebration, because you're going to have to make a choice. This also has something to do with the man. So it may be your husband's health insurance, partner's health insurance, dad's health insurance at your work. Somebody's telling you have to make a choice about something. But I don't know any more about the situation than that. So I would see if you are trying to, oh, it makes sense, thank goodness. So see if you're trying to juggle things, Dawn, and not allow the ending to naturally be what it's supposed to be. And when you pull some cards for yourself, that will really help you. You know, pull 1 card. What do I need to do to let go of the control that I'm trying to have over this situation, my health situation? Okay. This doesn't mean drink. If it was up that way, that's what I'd be telling you to do, Dawn. Go drink. But it's not. It's, you need to find balance, peace, and harmony inside of you. You know, it's let go of the control, trust the universe, trust that you are going to be okay, and that a new beginning will open up for you. And it could be even better than it is right now. I mean, that is the other thing. We hold on to things. You know, these ending cards come up and I have people go, oh no, I don't want it to end. I don't want this to end. We don't know what's just around the corner. You know, something more exciting, something more interesting, something you've always wanted to be involved with, something you've dreamed about. You don't know. I like that. No drinking. Okay, find balance. Absolutely, Dawn. Drinking's not the answer, because it just numbs your senses, and you're still going to have to make some kind of decision at some point anyway. So make sure it comes from your intuition, guys. And for those of you who've had your human design chart done by me, you know where you have to tap into. If your solar plexus, you got to sleep on things. That's when your decision-making process comes in through dreams. You may not remember them, but your body does. You know, if you're sacral, if you feel things in your gut, get people to ask you yes, no questions. You know, this topic's been all about endings. And don't forget, if you want to learn the card yourself, I'm doing a 5-week, every Tuesday evening, starting November the 14th, a 5-week webinar series where I'm going to teach you to read the cards. So I'm just going through some of them and I just picked the topic on the morning or the day. I picked this topic last night, actually. But you'll get them all in order, of course. And as Amika has just posted, you can check out my Tarot 101 course, sign up for it at the website, astrologerdawn.com. So, favorite poem of the day? Actually, I've got something different. This was written by me. This was written by me. So this is my soul, and I want you guys to think about this in terms of, you know, this is probably what happens for you as well. My soul is always manifesting the perfect experience for my learning. So think about that. My soul is always manifesting the perfect experience for my learning, whether you like it or not. Namaste. See you tomorrow.